server in the user interface, we have an API for that. So it's very convenient. And if you are a .NET developer, so C#, it's coded in C#, you can extend the functionality by making plugins. Yeah, so I think maybe this part, yeah, you can.
はい、もともとはペイメントプロセッサーという名前で開発が進んだものですが、今ではペイメントプラットフォームと呼ばれています。で、なぜプラットフォームかというと、開発者が拡張しやすいように作られているからです。UI が使っているすべての機能は API でも提供されているので、それを使うこともできますし、C#.NET に詳しい方だったらプラグインという形で開発することもできます。これは今からそれをちょっと紹介します。
So just to show you quickly, if you are a developer, when you're in BTCPayServer, like down, wait, it's loading. Down, you have an API link on your own server here. You can click on it. You can wait a while. And basically, if it wants to load, yeah, it's coming. It's a Swagger file. So, like, if for those of you that know what Swagger is, you can easily generate API directly from that. Or wait, the server is super slow. Okay, so yeah, there is also API here. So I won't go to the in the details, but everything you see in the interface, you can program it with this API. You have access to everything, okay? I will talk to you as developers now. I will skip maybe some topic of introduction of BTCPayServer to focus on what I think is interesting for developers. I hope it will be okay. But one thing with just to tell you the architecture of BTCPayServer on an old slide I got. I won't explain all of this. Don't worry. One second. Okay. So, what do we need when we are running BTCPayServer? What is under the cover? There is many things. So when you run BTCPayServer, you have, of course, BTCPayServer. It's a normal server, and it's using Postgre as a backend. And it's also using another project called NB Explorer. So NB Explorer is also a project in .NET, and it allows to easily query the UTXO, the balance of a Bitcoin wallet. So if you don't need all the features of BTCPayServer and you are building, for example, an exchange or a service on top of Bitcoin, actually you can only use NB Explorer. That is very nice for making wallets. So yeah, maybe this part is important.
I think you should explain why we need to use the NB Explorer and not Bitcoin Core directly.
Good point. So why there is this middleware between BTCPayServer and Bitcoin Core is because Bitcoin Core API to create wallets become very slow and very sluggish as you have lots of address, and the API is really bad. So it takes really lots of effort to build on top of Bitcoin Core. So that's why I created another infrastructure server, like this. I call that a wallet tracker called NB Explorer. That is way easier to work on. Yeah, so.
これ翻訳する必要ありますかね。皆さん分かってるんじゃないかな。
分かってる？大丈夫？
一応翻訳しますと、BTCPay サーバーは NB Explorer というのに依存しています。こちらもニコラが開発したもので、ビットコインコアの API はそのままだと、使いにくいものがあるので、なんか非常に使いにくいので、特に大量のアドレスを登録してトラッキングして UTXO を管理したりするような場合、うまくいかないので NB Explorer という、ブロックエクスプローラーと呼ばれるものの一種を間に作りましたということです。
So this is the NB Explorer, and on top of BTCPayServer, there is Nginx, so it's a reverse proxy. It allows me to get HTTPS with Let's Encrypt. I can get HTTPS certificate for people to use BTCPayServer easily. So this is kind of a minimalist deployment, very simple. And in general, like some people, if you have your own like e-store, like WooCommerce is on WordPress. There is a Magento, there is lots of different e-commerce software. You can add plugins, BTCP plugins, and connect directly to BTCPayServer, so your software can allow to pay e-commerce website can allow you to pay via BTCPayServer. Okay, so you don't have to use a different e-commerce server. If you don't need to, you can use directly BTCPayServer, but if you have a big business, maybe it's better to have separate software for the e-commerce part. And so to set up all of this, actually it's quite easy. We have one repository that is this one, BTCPayServer Docker. And you can say, for example, I want BTC and LTC and Dodge and whichever shitcoin you want. And do .btcpayserver setup.i, and it will download everything and start everything by itself. So it's kind of very easy to install. So basically in this example, like you have a Bitcoin core and lots of shitcoins. I advise you to not, why you have shitcoins? So in BTCPayServer, you host all the nodes, okay? So it takes resources on your computer. So the problem with shitcoin is that it takes lots of resources, so you are indirectly paying what I call the shitcoin tax, because you need a higher specification and pay more for doing this kind of processing. So I will advise you to just stick to Bitcoin, but if you really want, you can use other one. We have Monacoin as well.
ビットコイン以外のやつもこういうふうに簡単にサポートすることができますが、そうすると、なんか要求されるハードウェアのスペックが高くなるので、まあ、そのお金を払いたいならご自由にサポートしてくださいというふうなことです。はい。
You can also add Lightning, so we support C Lightning and LND out of the box, Eclair as well. At one point we were supporting Nayuta when there was a node, actually we were supporting it. So in the settings, if you just add this before the setup, it will just add additional, for example, a C Lightning node, with a Lightning Charge or like Spark wallet to have a UI on top of it. So it's kind of packaging everything at once. And you can add like other plugins. So we have what we call Docker fragment extension point. So in our deployment system, you can say, okay, I want, on top of this, I want as well WooCommerce. I want some other plugin, whatever, like it's two example of plugin, and you can make the deployment a bit more with more services like this.
そのなんか BTCPay スタート、セットアップ .sh を行ったときにその Docker フラグメントっていう仕組みがあって、まあそのニコラが作ったパッケージでなんかこう複数の Docker ファイルのひな型みたいなのがあって、その必要なものだけを組み合わせて Docker Compose .yaml を最終的に作って、これを全部その Docker Compose 内で実行してくれる仕組みなので、その必要なやつだけ取り込んでこう指定したライトニングノードも複数種類サポートしていて、その好きなやつに対してつなぎ合わせたような Docker Compose を作ってくれて、そのまま実行してくれるっていうことです。はい。
So why I did this? So when I started BTCPayServer, one problem is that Bitcoin was decentralized, but everybody was using BitPay at the time because it was easier to use. Indeed, all the centralized solutions are easier to use. So it was very important for me to propose a very easy way to deploy BTCPayServer. You don't have to use this. It's an example of deployment that I will show you. You can do your own, compiling your own server and plugging everything together. But for most people, they just want something that works and deploy everything at once. And if it was not simple, nobody would have used BTCPayServer, so that's why I did this system. To show you a concrete example of the nice thing you can do with why it's very nice to have such kind of system. So, for those of you that don't know LunaNode, so LunaNode is a VPS provider. How do you say? Yeah, VPS? VPS provider. You can easily rent some server and like to put whatever you want on it. And they added a very easy way to set up BTCPayServer. There is other service that does that. For example, Voltage do this. I think there is another one. I show you LunaNode because it's the one I know the most. But to show you how simple this system I show you is used in reality, I will just make a small demo for you. So if you want your own BTCPayServer, you go on LunaNode, you create your account. LunaNode is using BTCPayServer, so you can pay in Bitcoin as well on this server, so it's pretty cool. And you can create an API key here. And I will call it, it doesn't matter the name, create API key. And here I can just copy paste this one. Put it here, API key. So this is a website from LunaNode that's called Launch BTCPayServer. And it basically runs exactly the script that I show you. Under the hood is exactly this, nothing more. And which one I created? It was this one, API ID. Here.
ルナノードっていうのはVPS サービスって先ほどおっしゃいましたが、要するにホスティングサービスです。このさっき説明したDocker Composeの1CTをホストしてくれるサービスということですね。
And here I just say continue. I can select what I want, the spec of the machine. I advise you to just keep like default stuff. Here I will put my SSH key to be able to connect easily to it. You can do that later. It doesn't matter if you do it at this stage or not. I think it's the right one. We'll see. And here you can see at the end, the GitHub I showed you earlier, it's the same one. It's BTCPayServer Docker. So if you want to customize that, you can just fork this repository and put another address and have your own stack for yourself. And that's about it. After you just do launch of the VM. So it will take some time. I will maybe continue talking about BTCPay while it's deploying. But basically, in 10 minutes, we will get a VM that is usable. It will need to sync to download the block and verify them. It takes maybe 2 days, or maybe it's already on. So it's this address here. Oops. Where is it? This one. It takes time to start, so maybe it's not ready yet. I think it takes around 5-10 minutes, something like this. So I will come back to it later. Yeah, it's not yet.
今デプロイしてくださってまして、デプロイ自体は5分から10分で終わるんですけれど、そのビットコインのノード自体のシンクに2日以上かかるので、まだシンクしてない状態のを見せてくれるということです。
So I will show you that later. And yeah, after that's all there is, you have your own BTCPayServer. I can connect to SSH. You will see that behind is exactly the Docker deployment I show you, nothing more. You don't have to use this. You can use your own VPS. It works very easily. And that's about it. And while we are waiting, I will just cover another thing. That is pretty quick to cover before the questions, which is if you are a developer in .NET and you are interested to work on BTCPayServer, I just want to show you how easy it is to get started. So,
今ルナノードにデプロイしてくださってますが、なんか別のところでももちろんできます。それであとSHA H 公開鍵を先ほど設定したので、ログインしてということもできます。で、そのデプロイを待っている間、その C# でプラグインを作ったりする方法がどれぐらい簡単なのか教えてくれるそうなので、はい。
So, like I said, BTCPayServer has lots of dependency, but during development time, we created a Docker compose that sets everything for you. So you don't have to install all the dependency by yourself. When you clone our repository, you can go directly to cd BTCPayServer test, and here you do docker compose up dev. So you just run a Docker compose that we prepare. There is all the dependency you need for development. It's all on rec test that allow for a developer to develop it very easily on that. And then after, you just have to run the server. So I'm using Visual Studio. There is Rider that works as well. You have lots of IDE. You don't have to use Visual Studio. Here. And yeah, that's about it. After you can just run the test. We have a bunch of tests, and I can just run the server locally.
今テスト用に必要な Docker Compose の依存サービスを立ち上げてからテストを実行するのかな、開いています。はい。
It's running. Oh, I was debugging some stuff before. One second. Okay, this will work. Okay, meanwhile I can check if the other server is ready. Ah, the test server running now. By the way, I think the other server is finally deployed.
先ほどデプロイしてたサーバーが終わったみたいなので。Are we going to check the server?
Yeah. For now, I just want to show that there is a test server that is running. Normally it's a bit faster than this. I don't know why it's so slow today. Anyway, while the other is loading, I will show you this one. So this server actually is the one that I deployed earlier. You see, my server is ready to run. So when you run BTCPay for the first time, you just have a normal registration form.
これは1年前にデプロイしたやつなので、このログインだけになってますけど、最初の場合はレジストレーションフォームがあるのかな。You said when you launched the server first time, there's a registration form.
This is this.
Oh, that's
yeah.
Oh yeah, it says create account. I'm sorry.
The first account is admin. Okay. So just create it. So you create your store, whichever. Here. And it's ready. So it takes some time to start because your server needs to sync. So it takes typically 2 days, around 2 or 3 days. And after your server can start to be used. So I come back to this time is a test server that I run. And yeah, basically there is nothing too special about it.
ちなみにそのシンクに2日かかるというのはビットコインのブロックチェーンを一番最初から最新のところまで全部ダウンロードして検証するっていう作業があるからです。これはBTCPay サーバーに限らずビットコインノードを使うやつは必ずそれを通る必要が、そのプロセスを通る必要があります。
Okay. Like so, this is a test server, and like basically you can You can easily like create a new wallet, like whichever. So test wallet doesn't matter. You can once you can create fake Bitcoin very easily. Here you click here. It will like this button will fill out your wallet automatically. It takes a bit of time.
Actually, I think it's important to explain the mnemonic parts.
The what?
Mnemonic. You just showed that first wallet's mnemonic, right?
Yeah. So I was just setting a new wallet for my store, like because I want to show you that it's very easy to develop. On top of BTCPayServer, you can create fake wallet like this. So when I created a new store, I created a new wallet attached to this store. It's just for the tests, you know, like you can generate fake Bitcoin like this. You can create invoices, try to pay with it. You can directly debug inside BTCPayServer. So if you are a developer, it's very easy to join and to help all the developments. Just run the Docker compose and run BTCPayServer locally, and it's just work. And
テスト環境なのでセットアップささっと終わらせちゃいましたけども、こう使える状態にテスト環境だったらすぐになるので、デバッグする、というか開発するのには非常に簡単です。
Yeah. So that's about it. So I think. Yeah, I think we covered everything. Like, yeah, this one I will not wait until it's sync, of course. But yeah, that's about it. What I wanted to show you. I could go way more into the details of how I maintain this, but I think it will need some 1 or 2 more hours to cover everything. And yeah, do you have any question?
Chitsumonga Nicolas. The question is, you mentioned additional fragments. BTC, we can configure export BTC Pay additional fragments.
Yes.
And when I create my BTCPayServer, I used opt save storage XS.
Yep.
So,
so yeah, so what I show in the demo at one point, I show how to decide to add fragments for like additional plugin to BTCPayServer in the deployment, and you can configure, for example, to run on prune node. So prune node, the nice thing is that it will always take around 100 gigabytes of memory, always. Every time there is new block, like old blocks are deleted. And one of the we call Docker fragments that you use, it's opt save memory or something like this.
Yes, I use XS, so instead of Ninichi, Moto Hayai blockchain sync suru desu. だからの方がいい。時々そのフラグメントを。
Did you configure it to make it? Is that what you're
Yes. Yes.
So you've tweaked.
Yes. You have the option. Yeah, you have the option to make the blockchain smaller, so it seems fast.
Actually, I'm not following.
Okay, I tell you in English, and you can say. So the default, the blockchain has to sync fully, but with this fragment option, you can shorten the
no.
time.
No, so the fragment you were talking about, it's a fragment to run a prune node, which means it will sync from beginning. It will download all the block and check all the blocks, so it takes time. What you're talking about, if you want to shorten the time of sync, we have a solution. It's called fast sync, and it's not really related to prune node, but with fast sync, we don't know the state of the UTXO at the last state. I think it was 2 months ago. Then after it synced from 2 months ago, so it's way faster. But it's different from those fragments where those fragments, for example, opt-save storage, just say, okay, I don't want the old block. We don't need those old blocks. And if you use fast sync, then you need that.
You need this, yes.
You need this because it's pruned, because with fast sync you don't download the old block.
Yeah, I think that's what I did, what I used. So it took way less than 2 days. Yeah, it took just a few hours.
Yeah. So basically, in a nutshell, what is important to translate is when you create a new node. So like syncing normally takes 2 or 3 days. Yeah. Oh yeah.
You mean it downloads from a trusted node on a fast sync, or it doesn't download at all?
Yeah, so imagine that on a VPS normally, syncing takes 2 or 3 days. On a Raspberry Pi, so you can run a BTCPay on Raspberry Pi, it takes forever. Like it takes like 6 months, I don't know.
It was 3 weeks when I tried last year.
Yeah,
so.
3 weeks. That's not too bad.
That's not too bad, yeah.
But there is a solution in BTCPay where you can download a trusted, like it's on a trusted server. You download the state of the UTXO set, and then you sync from this.
質問はなんか要するにシンクに2日かかるのでなんかもっと早くする方法はないかみたいな話で、質問者の方が言ってたのはなんか別の機能のことを最初話したんですね。2つ機能があって、1つがファストシンクって、あらかじめトラストされた、近くのサーバーからなんか近くかどうかわからないけど、サーバーからなんか2ヶ月前までとかまでの検証せずにダウンロードして、そこから先のやつだけを検証していく、ような仕組み。これによってなんかシンクの速度が速くなるオプションを一番最初のフラグメント、環境変数とかでどのコインをサポートするか、どういうドッカーコンポーズを作るのかっていうのを指定したところで、そういうオプションも指定することができて、そうすることによってなんか挙動を変えることができる。それでファストシンクのオプションがあるっていうのが一つと、もう一つがなんかプルーンノードっていう仕組みがあって、これはなんかシンクの速度が速くなるわけじゃないんだけれども、検証が終わった過去のブロックチェーンを消していく、ような仕組みですね。基本的に送受金だけしたい場合はブロックチェーンの全て持つ必要がなくて、その過去の UTXO の現在の UTXO の情報だけあればいいので、ブロックの情報を捨てちゃうことによってストレージを大幅に削減することができるんですね。そうするとなんかブロックエクスプローラーとしての機能、つまり過去のトランザクションをちょっと検査したいみたいなことはできなくなるんだけれども、通常の使い方、支払ったり受け取ったりだけだったら普通に使えるようになって、かつハードディスクの容量が少なくなるので、そういうオプションも指定することができるっていう話です。はい。
いや、他に質問ある人は日本語で聞いていただいたらジョーさんが多分何とかしてくれるんで大丈夫です。日本語でも。英語どっちも。
現在に日本では BTCPay サーバーのデベロッパーは大体何人がいらっしゃいますか？ So I'm asking basically how many devs are in Japan that could be working on BTCPay server except you?
I don't know. I'm not aware of anybody in Japan working actively on BTCPay server at this time. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe this could be a good opportunity.
Maybe, yeah. But so you can help to be development of BTCPay server, but we are also interested to people that build on top of it. So you don't have to contribute inside BTCPay server, but you can just use our API, or like trying to develop a plugin. For example, imagine that a customer wants I don't know, Stripe, for example, Stripe payments on BTCPay server. It's theoretically possible to make a plugin to accept this. So like we not only we don't really look too much into developer doing core work in BTCPay server itself, but on top of it, I think it's very useful. So we are trying to do like WordPress. So why WordPress is very popular is not because there is lots of people that work in the source code of WordPress. It's because there is a whole community of developers building on top of it, like their own team, their own plugins. And so we try to emulate this strategy.
I think there's no need for translation.
Yeah.
必ずしもなんか BTCPay サーバーのコア部分を開発する開発者に増えてほしいだけではなくて、そのユーザーに増えてほしいですよね。ユーザーっていうのはそのなんかプラグインを作ったり、その API を使って何かを開発したりする方ですね。特に例えばストライプのつなぎ込むプラグインを理論上は作ることができるんだけれどもないので、そういうことをやってくれる人であるとか、 そうですね。What was the name of the WordPress? そうペイメントプラットフォームのワードプレスみたいなポジションを目指しているので、ワードプレスが流行っているのはユーザーが多いから、なんですよね。開発者だけに限らずたくさんの人が使ってて、そのプラグインとか、手軽なことをやってる人も多いので、そういう人がどんどん増えてくれると嬉しいです。はい。
はい、他に何か質問はありますか。お願いします。
When I use BTC Pay as a user, I was surprised at the speed of the transaction and the payment has just finished for few seconds. I guess this implementation comes from zero confirmation, but my question is it common, and the second question is how to implement this feature secure.
So you mean that the payment is quickly accepted?
Yeah.
So if you're paying online, no problem. It's always immediately accepted and settled. If you pay in Bitcoin, so if somebody sends the money on Bitcoin, he will see like he paid. But in the back end of the merchants, you will see that the transaction is processing because it's not confirmed. There is a settings for the merchant to say, okay, if the transaction is not confirmed, mark the invoice as complete. But by default, it asks at least for one confirmation. So for retail, it's a bit difficult. Like on-chain payment for retail is, I think you need to rely on trust because you cannot ask somebody to wait in front of the cashier to get the transaction confirmed. So there is a bit of risk, yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
訳します。質問は以前 BTCPay サーバーを使ったときに支払ったら即座に支払い完了ってなったことになって驚いたということですね。だからこれはつまりユーザーから見たらゼロコンフォメーション支払いなんですけど、これがどれぐらい一般的なのか、そしてどうやってセキュアにしているのかっていう質問だったんですけど、答えは支払った際、ユーザーからは即座に着金されたように見えるんですけど、運営している側、その受け取る側の UI からはプロセッシングっていうふうに表示されるんですね。これはユーザー、自分で支払った側は二重支払いとかしないっていうことが分かってるからそれでいいんですけど、受け取る側はそれが分からないから、そういうふうにしてるわけです。で、デフォルトではワンコンフォメーションで、そのプロセッシングからコンファームドになるんだけれども、なるようになってます。そのことです。はい。
So just I can quickly show it, I think, because we are running here. So imagine that I have a invoice here, like 12 USD. If you are developing, you can easily make fake payments, fake BTC payments. Okay, it's paid. And in the back end, you can see processing here. And if you mine one block, then it will be settled like this. I think there's no need for translations. Yeah, I think that's.
はい、大丈夫ですかね。他に質問ある方。じゃあお願いします。
すみません、ありがとうございます。ちょっと私開発者ではないのでちょっとざっぱくとした質問になってしまいますが、ちょっと先ほどの質問で動機が遅くなることの対策としてなんですが、ちょっと最近話題になるようなゼロシンクとか BTC ワープみたいなゼロ知識証明を応用したノードの高速化を図るようなソリューションっていうのはBTCPay サーバーで利用できるのかどうかっていう部分と、ちょっとそのようなものは利用できないっていう場合になれば、そもそも開発者にとってノードの同期に時間がかかるっていうことはそもそもどのようなハードルというか障害があるのか、ちょっとそもそもの質問となって恐縮なんですがご教示いただけますと幸いです。
Yes, there's two questions. One is that about the fast sync. He says there's a new solution for doing the fast sync at the Bitcoin using the zero knowledge proof, some kind of zero knowledge proof. What was the name? ZeroSync, yeah. And is there a plan to support those in the BTCPayServer? That's the first question. And second is that what is the purpose of the fasting? I mean, as a developer or user, what is the main motivation to make the nodes sync faster?
So about the support of ZeroSync, it all depends on Bitcoin Core. So we rely on Bitcoin Core. So if Bitcoin Core supports it, we will propose it. About why we are doing this, so one way of running BTCPayServer that lots of users are doing is on Raspberry Pi. So they have their home server, they install BTCPayServer on their home server, and with Raspberry Pi, it takes 3 weeks. It was taking 3 weeks 1 year ago, so I guess by now, like with the spam of the NFT, I guess now it's like more, like 4 or 5 weeks. It's a lot of time. So to remove this time, we just propose fast sync, but it's optional. People don't have to use it. And one thing is that if you already have a full node somewhere, you can verify that the snapshot that you took is legit. So you have your own node that you trust. You create a new node with fast sync. You sync it, and after you can compare the hash of the UTXO set. And if they match, it means that my snapshot was legit.
最初の質問はそのなんかまあゼロシンク、の利用に関しては完全にビットコインコア側に依存しているので、そちらでなんかサポートするものがあってから考えるとのことです。で、2つ目のなぜそもそもそのシンクロナイゼーションのスピードを速くしたいという需要があるのかというと、まあその一言で言うと多様な環境で実行されているからでして、そのユーザーによっては自宅のラズベリーパイで実行していたりします。先ほど2日かかると言いましたが、それはクラウド上でやった場合でして、ラズベリーパイで実行すると、私の場合なんですけど、私の場合3週間、以上かかったんですよね。それはまあマシンパワーとか貧弱なのだからなんですよ。だからそういうユーザーにとっては、まあさすがにちょっと3週間4週間は待てないんだ。そういうユーザーにとってはそのファーストシンクみたいな仕組みっていうのはまあ非常に有用なのでサポートしていますということです。で、さらに既存のノード、自分が持っているノードでなんかシンクしたものがある場合、あるいはまあトラストできるノードがある場合、なんかそのノード、からなんかその情報を教えてもらって、最終的になんか UTXO セットってまあ一番重要な欲しい情報のハッシュを確かめることでなんかなんかそのダウンロードするという仕組みもあるそうです。はい。
ありがとうございます。
他に何か質問あれば。どうぞ。
Yes, I actually have one question that about the plugin system you were explaining. By the word plugin, you meant that another fragment inside of Docker Compose, right?
So this is a very loaded term, what we call plugin. So I show you the plugin as a Docker fragment. Actually, we call more Docker fragment, but in BTCPay itself, we have like an option here, manage plugin. We have a page, and when you click here, you can see like there is a bunch of plugin here. Like we have a page with a few plugin in here. There is a bunch of them. There is link to sources. So if you are a developer, you can take a look at the sources and develop your own plugin on it, and the documentations. And so an example we have, for example, like the simplest one is Bitcoin white paper. So if you install this plugin, then you can have the Bitcoin white paper hosted by BTCPayServer. It's completely useless, but it's like an example of plugins. And like because you can see the sources, you can see how to do it. You know, like it's very easy. And we have Blink. So there is another wallet that is called Blink Wallet. You can, for example, I show you can use C-Lightning or LND. But if, for example, you want to connect to your Blink wallet, you can do it as well. But we didn't code it inside BTCPayServer. Instead, it's a plugin that you can just install, and it allows you to do this. We have CoinJoin. We have a dynamic report to be able to make more complex reports. What else? We have yeah.
Are these plugins are dynamically loaded when processed?
Yes, yes. So to go into the details to those plugins, we have like if you go into the server settings, in policies. It takes time because I have lots of users. But in when you go in there, wait. Okay, it's coming. Okay, you have here plugin server. So it's plugin builder btcpayserver.org. So it's basically when you create your own plugin on your own on GitHub, you upload it to GitHub, and there is this server pluginbuilder.btcpayserver.org. You can create an account on it, and you can say, okay, I want you to build my plugin. You just give your GitHub repository, and it basically download your code, build it, package it, and put it inside there. So it's pretty nice. And if you really want to develop plugin as well, we have a system where you can just debug as easily, you know, with F5 on Visual Studio, like pretty easily. So it's like very convenient, I think.
Is it downloading the plugin and launching as a different additional process, or?
It's a .NET plugin, so it's loading. It's restarting the server and load the DLL dynamically.
Oh,
basically, when it starts, it scan a folder and it loads the DLL there and loads the iBTCPay plugins.
Without restarting the server.
You need to restart the server.
You need to restart the server. I see. まあじゃあここでなんか自作のプラグインや基本的にはC# のプロジェクトをなんかまあアップロードしてまあその自分のPTCPay サーバーからそのプロジェクトがあるところの URL を教えてやるとそのなんかそのダウンロードしてくれて、まあ自動でそのビルド、コンパイルで実行可能な状態にまでしてくれて、まあリスタートしてそのサーバーをリスタートした際になんかその一緒に立ち上がるIs it a library or application? The plugin is an independent library or independent application?
It's an independent project basically. It's a
Yeah, but does it launch by independent process?
No.
No, I see.
No.
It's just really, a library loaded.
It's really loading inside the abdomen of the server. So basically, plugin has access to all the classes inside of BTCPay. It has access to everything.
I see.
Yeah.
だそうです。まあつまりそのまあ追加のプロセスとして実行するわけではなくて、まあBTCPay サーバーのなんか一部として実行されるので、まあ再起動が必要ということですね。で、その際にまあ一部なのでもBTCPay サーバーの中の機能全部にそのプラグインはアクセスできてしまうということですね。まあなのでso the user has to be careful about the security.
Oh yeah. So indeed, it's the same model as WordPress. It's like a bad plugin, like it has control to everything, so you need to be careful. Yeah.
ワードプレスのモデルと同じで、まあ非常になんか全てのコードにアクセスがあるので、まあプラグインを使う際は自作のものか、まあそのちゃんとチェックしたものを使うようにしましょうということです。はい。
はい。他に質問があれば受け付けますが、ほぼちょうど予定通りの終了時刻なので、どうぞ。じゃあ最後の質問にします。
I saw that there's a plugin, Liquid Plus.
Yes.
And so is Liquid supported on BTCPay server?
Yes. So there is another plugin, yeah, indeed, Liquid Plus here. And so I never used it, so I cannot go too much into the detail about this. It was done by Cox, but basically BTCPay server support Liquid. And it supports as well like confidential transactions. And Liquid Plus allow you to accept assets, a new asset on top of Liquid, basically. So
and is it also possible to automatically swap from Lightning Wallet to Liquid and from Liquid to on-chain, for example?
No.
Okay.
No. So if you use Liquid on BTCPay server, basically your wallet is the command line. So you need to SSH on the server and like run the command line by yourself to get the money out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
but it works. I mean, Blockstream is using it for their store, so as far as I know, that's the only user.
I think it would be nice to have that functionality to automatically swap out to Liquid for stores who have huge volumes.
Yeah, but swap with what? So, for example, if you are interested to swap, we have a plugin for a fixed float, for example. So imagine that you want to support a shitcoin that is not supported by BTCPayServer. We have this plugin, fixed float, and if you want to accept, I don't know, something we don't support, Ripple, I don't know. I never tried it, but XRP, for example. Then on the checkout, you can send XRP, it goes to fixed float, and you receive the Bitcoin. So it's something that is possible, but if you have this swap, you always need an intermediary, a trusted intermediary. In this case, it's fixed float, but we didn't do it specifically for Liquid. But I think fixed float supports Liquid, so maybe you can already do it already, but I never tried it, so yeah.
Okay, I see. Thanks.
To be precise, fixed float is a trusted swap provider?
Yes, okay. It's like a shapeshift. It's same stuff.
Okay. まあその質問はそのリクイッドのサポートしているのかどうかって話だったんですけど、リクイッドというのはそのブロックストリームという会社が作っているビットコインのサイドチェーン、トラステッドサイドチェーンと呼ばれるもので、まあ特にそのなんかアセット NFT、まあ NFT に限らないけど、まあそのビットコイン以外のアセットを発行できるようなブロックチェーンがあるんですけれど、それをサポートしてます。で、そこに載ってるコンフィデンシャルアセットという仕組みもサポートしてます。で、2つ目の質問はそのリクイッド上のなんかスワップ、まあリクイッド上のなんかそのアセットとライトニングネットワークで支払ったものとかのスワップ、つまり交換をできるのかっていう質問あったんですけど、基本的にはノーで、ただまあプラグインでこのフィクスドフロートっていうのがあって、これはまあトラストレススワップではないんですけれど、まあそのなんか接続すればもうおそらく彼らがリクイッドをサポートしているので、リクイッドのアセットとまあ別のものとの交換もそれを使えばできるはずです。はい。
OK。じゃあ一旦ここまでにします。ちょうど時間が来たので、以上です。ありがとうございました。